Alright, this video is going to be ridiculously long because it's about elves, and elves have a stupid amount of sub-races in 3.5 and even 5th edition, but we talk about 3.5 here, so let's get right into it, and not about me and how much I hate elves just in general in every single setting. Now, in most D&D settings, elves kind of fall into one of like 2 or 3 categories. Basically, they're either top of the world or bottom of the top, and that's just about it. Starting out, elves are at base assumed to be the high elf. In some settings are called various other things, Eberron for example, but they all basically use the same stats with slight tweaks and changes. Now, going into their stats before I make a whole video about how much I just hate elves. Elves start out with a +2 in dexterity for being scrawny and flexible. They can get out of situations pretty easily. They also get a -2 on constitution because they're scrawny and flexible. Seriously though, this is one of those things that just happen, or that should just happen in all races. If you're a scrawny thing, you should have a higher dexterity and a lower constitution. Similar with how small things, just for whatever reason, have a negative to strength. Speaking of size, they are medium size. No boost to AC or anything at all. No negatives either. Like all other medium-sized creatures, their land speed is 30. Not gonna math again how fast that actually is, because I hate math. Which is weird, given I DM 3.5 games. Which is nothing but math, but okay. Elves, like their half-elf kids, make them immune to sleep spells and effects, and they get a +2 racial bonus on all saving throws against enchantment spells or effects. In all settings, they don't sleep. In Faerun, they live through their past lives again in like a trance state, but in Eberron, they're just insomniacs. Like myself. I am literally recording this off of half an hour of sleep. Also, like half-elves, they get low-light vision. I'm gonna link the Light and Visions SRD down below again. A few of the sub-races actually get it changed. Aquatic elves get improved low-light vision, while dark elves, drow, get dark vision, but only to like 60 feet. Either way. They also get weapon proficiencies, which is really good because no matter what class they play, they will always be able to use these weapons without the negative. What they get is longsword, rapier, longbow, composite longbow, shortbow, and composite shortbow. Elves also get a +2 racial bonus in listen, search, and spot checks. And they get a little bonus here where if they walk within 5 feet of a secret door, they can roll a search check to see it at the DC they would if they knew it was there. Normally, you gotta roll a spot check to notice it at a higher DC. Elves don't gotta do that. They just fucking know where it's at. Basically, what they're doing is looking for the doorknob of it, and that's about it. Elves have Common and Elven as their starting languages and can learn Draconic, Gnoll, Gnome, Goblin, Orc, or Sylvan as a bonus language if their intelligence score is over 12. For sadistic dungeon masters who follow multi-classing rules, their favorite class is Wizard. Now, elves have a ridiculous amount of sub-races. Just in the monster manual, they have 5. 6 if you count the half-elf as a sub-race. And then there are also expansion books that add some, I believe, Races of the Wild, and I want to say Race of Dragon technically with the Dragonborn of Bahamut. But then there are also environmental elves as well. But we're just gonna go through the monster manuals elves. We got the high elf, the base one I just told you about, aquatic elves, drow or dark elves, grey elves, wild elves, and wood elves. One of the most changes are the Dark Elves, so let's go over them all. Now let's start alphabetically with Aquatic Elves. You get rid of the base elf stat changes. Instead of getting a negative to Constitution, they get a negative to Intelligence, but they keep the Dexterity. Why? Because fish are dumb. They also get the aquatic subtype, so they'd be humanoid, elf, aquatic. They also get a 40-foot swim speed on top of their 30-foot run speed. They have gills as well, meaning they can breathe underwater, but this also means they can only survive out of water 1 hour per point of Constitution. So if they have 10 in Con, they can only survive 10 hours out of water, which really doesn't seem that bad. They also have superior low light vision, which means they can see 4 times as far as a human in low light environments, and their favorite class replaces Wizard with Fighter. Now let's go to Drow. Drow get +2 in Intelligence and Charisma on top of the High Elves' Dexterity and negative to Constitution. They replace low light vision with dark vision out to 120 feet. They get a natural spell resistance of 11 plus their class level, meaning any spell cast on them has to beat a whatever number that would be with spell resistance. That would be your caster level plus a d20 roll. Drow also have a +2 on will saves against spells and spell-like abilities, and they have their own spell-like abilities on top of that. Once a day, they can cast one of the following spells: Dancing Lights, Darkness, or Fairy Fire. The caster level is equivalent to their own class levels. They can automatically use hand crossbows, rapiers, and short swords. This replaces the High Elf's proficiency bonuses. They also get 3 base languages rather than 2, Common, Elven, and Undercommon, along with the bonus languages of Abyssal, Aquan, Draconic, Drow, Sign Language, Gnome, and Goblin, obviously replacing the base elves. They also have what's known as light blindness, meaning that if they're suddenly blasted with lights, such as sunlight or daylight spell, they're slapped with blindness for 1 round, then are dazzled for every round afterwards as long as they're in bright areas. Their favorite class depends on their gender: wizards for men, clerics for women, obviously replacing the base elves shit. They also get a level adjustment of +2, meaning that if you're playing a level 5 campaign, you start with 3 class levels, but count as 5th level and need the 5th level experience to get up. Now we start reaching the end, and the last 3 are pretty simple. Let's start out with Grey Elves. The only difference between the base elf and the Grey Elf is that they have a +2 in Intelligence and a -2 in Strength, in addition to everything else the elf has. Wild Elves get a +2 in Dexterity and a -2 in Intelligence and favor the Sorcerer class. These two replace the High Elves stat change in favored class. Wood Elves get a +2 in Strength and a -2 in Intelligence and favor the Ranger, replacing both High Elf stats. Now, the Monster Manual also says that Half Elf is a subrace, but I already made a half-elf video, and this one is already way too long, so I'm shutting up now. I'm gonna drink some tea to calm my rage about having to talk about elves for way too long. So have fun and shove off.